So I decided to start making some videos in English as well. In part because I speak more easily in English, in part because the people who might want to watch my videos probably are more likely to speak English at this point. Anyway, what I'd like to present is my project of my garden. We moved into this house, which is hiding over there, about 3-4 months ago. We bought the house, and what's very cool about this place is that it has a huge garden, huge for a garden. Like most people have much smaller gardens, but this is a bit out in the countryside, although it is close to a mid-sized town. You can hear cars going by here. So 5 minutes on bicycle, you're by a kebab shop or the town hall or a supermarket close by. But still, we have a huge area. We have 13,000 square meters, 1.3 hectare. For you Americans, it's about 3.5 acres. And it's already an excellent park. And what I want to do with it, and what I fell in love with, the vision I fell in love with right away, is to turn it into a forest garden. It's already a bit like that, but it could be much more. So I want to gradually, over the years, transform it into an edible forest garden. And forest garden would normally use the principles of permaculture, and the idea is to make something where most of what grows is in harmony with what grows around it, and most of it is something you can eat or use that's practical, medicinal, aromatic herbs, berries, plums, potatoes, things you can eat or use, that is not just for decoration. And particularly you would try to make guilds of various things that grow around trees, for example, that work well with the tree. You wouldn't just have trees in the middle of the lawn. For that matter, a lawn is not the best thing to have. It's not particularly good for the soil. There's not much living in it. And part of the reason I want to do this is not to have an abundance of cheap food, although that could be a side effect. It's really rather to restore an ecosystem, have a maximum of diversity of things growing and of animals, different life forms that move in here. So welcome to my garden. I'll take you on a bit of a tour, and I'll tell you some more things, and I'm sure that more videos will follow. Now, there are already different sectors of this garden. There's a rather large open field here. There are some trees, but mostly it's just grass. And I just want to show you that what I would like is much more like this older section over here, which is much more densely planted, and they're like paths, and you turn a corner and there's something a little surprising, and you're more hidden between trees with many different things going on. There's one of our wells, by the way. We have 4 wells on the property, and here there's sort of a hole where water gathers, but there are many different things growing. There's a path going this way over to the edge of the property up to the house, and you can choose different paths, and there's lots of things growing, and it's a joy just sort of discovering what is there, and it changes over the seasons. We've only been here 3 or 4 months, but there's the house up there, and we can sort of sneak through in different places. So I would want to make it even more densely planted than this, but this is a bit of an idea of what I want, with lots of things growing close together. And the work is in part to choose the things that do grow well together, that support each other and that are helpful for each other and that survive in that particular place. And that takes some thought and some planning, but I just love these sort of mysterious, oops, there was a cat, mysterious hidden paths here, and there are various things going on. Like here, it's a great place for when when it's really hot in the summer, one can sit around here. Now it's covered with leaves and stuff. We're in October, but a little secret meeting place. Anyway, just to show you the kind of density that I'm going for. One of the things we are busy doing, and I think which is one of the pillars of permaculture, is to spread mulch. Mulch is like plant matter that protects and creates good soil that degrades quickly, that you can use either for protecting other plants or for preparing the soil for future planting. And one place to start is that we spread in a circle around fruit trees, in particular mulch, a layer ideally 5 to 10 centimeters, and that would be wood chips, plant material, something that has been run through a wood chipper, and something that is likely to degrade in like 6 months maybe, and then there'll be more pure soil around here. And that also, by the way, that will kill the grass. So like, for example, here around a fruit tree, I would want to plant other things and sow other things. And in permaculture, you would try to have different layers and stuff. So there would like be bushes, there might be things that climb up the fruit tree, there would be a ground cover, there might be some things, rhubarb, things that grow on the ground, horseradishes. There are different kinds of things that have different functions that will either protect this area or that will attract nitrogen for the other plants and so forth. So one has to carefully match them together, but it usually starts with mulching like here. So that's what we've started to do. It was hard to find some good sources of mulch, but finally I made a connection with somebody who cuts down trees and who runs it through a wood chipper, and then they have a truck full of mulch essentially, and they come and drop it off here. So I've done it with several fruit trees, and I'm going to do more. So this here down in the corner is my staging area for mulching and composting and that kind of thing. You see a big pile of mulch that has been delivered in several rounds, and we're in the process of using it, but excellent mulch. It already starts composting, so it's really ready to go. And you can also, by the way, see one of the projects putting a strip of mulching all the way up and down the property. It's close to the hedge where we would like to cover that a little more. So probably in the spring we will plant lots more things in that strip. And also down here I have my own wood chipper. I mean, haven't produced very much yet because this is what branches and so forth that gets cut off the trees, and we don't have that much yet, but there will be a lot over time. And otherwise we're working on compost, and I have some already excellent soil that has been composted. That's good for planting, and a couple of machines, well, the mulcher and motorized wheelbarrow. And I like having good machinery, and I think it's sort of necessary for a big place like this, like that tuk-tuk device there. It's an electrical utility vehicle. It's very, very useful and a relatively inexpensive way of getting around. It could work on the street too, but I'm just going to use it inside the garden. Anyway, this is where the mulch comes from, and we're going to try to use it as quickly as possible. It's a good time to do it, so it's ready for something in the spring. Having this garden here is for me a continuous series of little problems to solve and finding solutions for them, or going through the process of finding solutions. And one of the things that are needed is, how do we water things? I mean, right now the garden works very well by itself without anybody watering. Plant new things. Planted some hedge over by the neighbor where there wasn't very much, and we're going to plant some fruit trees, and they need to be watered frequently. And because we have wells, here's another well up here, because we have several wells on the property, it's obvious that we would want to use the water that's already available. However, all the wells don't work equally well. We're in the process of installing pumps in them, And this one here, which is the deepest, is actually the worst. It's usually dry. The one that's down under our house down there usually has water. So how do I water a huge garden like that? So part of my solution will be to put some reservoirs up here. Here the first one is just a small 1,000-liter IBC tank, but how do I get the water into it? It would be nice if it came from that well, but that's dry at the moment. So right now I have a series of hoses and pipes that go all the way from the well down there over along the edge and all the way along the hedge and all the way over here to this reservoir. That's about 175 meters and it's uphill, so it wasn't that easy to get that to actually work, but it works right now. So from there I can water the hedge over there, and I made some drip watering system, and we'll do something similar for the trees that we will plant next. But several of these things have been sort of days or weeks of headaches of trying to figure that out. But part of what inspires me here is the infrastructure and something that's a little bit technical of how do you make all of this work, in addition to how lovely it is to have a functioning ecosystem with lots of things that are happening by themselves. So it's that balance that I kind of like. Anyway, catch you another time.